Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Teddy, and today we're looking at 12 amazing tobacco fragrances that you should check out. So I'm personally a big fan of tobacco. I know you, like at least from fragrances, you're coming along to it. We live in a colder environment, so I think we just kind of lean into liking them more than maybe most people. So what I wanted to do is lay out, we both have picked out around 6 each that we're gonna go through back and forth and just showcase some of our picks, and that's basically gonna be the summary of this video. All the fragrances that we have here are going to include tobacco, of course, some more than others. Some will have it as kind of front and center, more prominent. Other ones will have it kind of more taking a back seat. But Courtney, I'll let you begin with our first pick here.
Pick number 1 is a Cheapie CK1 Shock. I think this would be a great option for someone who maybe has never had a tobacco fragrance, maybe who's just getting into it and is like, you know what, I wanna buy a tobacco fragrance, don't wanna spend a ton of money, super cheap. This is a really great, safe option. Tobacco, amber, lavender, a little bit of cardamom and patchouli. It's really sweet and warm, and I really like this one.
Yeah, it's sweet for sure. I get a lot of amber in this. This is where tobacco is not just hitting you in the face. The amber is really what I get. That's gonna maybe potentially not be for everybody's liking just because it does have that sweet backbone. You're gonna see similar accords throughout here where there's gonna be some sweet type of elements to the tobacco, and that kind of makes sense. That's usually something that goes hand in hand, and that's what you're getting here with kind of the amber. It does have that.
For sure, it is a sweeter one. I also think when it dries down, it kind of has this cherry tobacco type of scent, which I like, but I know it probably isn't for everyone. But yeah, definitely sweet. I feel like a lot of the tobacco fragrances tend to lean on the sweeter side. Not all of them on the list today, but a lot of them are. I think they kind of, like you said, go hand in hand. So, but great cheap option, I think.
Safe pick for if you're gonna spend 20, 30 bucks.
Yep.
No doubt.
All right, Teddy, your pick?
Maybe the most unique that we have in this list, and this is Nishane Fan Your Flame. So this fragrance is one that I've been spraying a lot actually as of late. It's got a few things that are different about it. One is the coconut. Now coconut, when I smell coconut, I think of like pina colada, that type of stuff, which is totally not me at all. But combining it with a tobacco note in a winter fragrance, because I think when most people think, okay, I'm gonna incorporate coconut, you're thinking summer fragrance, definitely. 100%. So to see it in something that's no doubt a winter fragrance, it comes together and surprisingly works. I saw the note breakdown of this and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pull that off, but I actually really like it. It has this kind of powdery nature to it. It's unique. It's easy to recognize too once you kind of just get that coconut kind of flowing. You kind of just notice it right away, and it strangely, again, just kind of works. It also has tobacco, of course, rum, tonka, and cedar, and they're using this creamy coconut as a way to kind of combine with the tobacco to kind of have a more easing way of experiencing that note. And to me, really unique. If you want to try to get tobacco in an unconventional way with still some elements that I think many people are familiar with when it comes to that combination of like a creamy mix with the tobacco, mostly you're going to see that with vanilla. In this case, it still works, similar effect, and I think it creates one of the more unique offerings from a niche perspective, and one of my favorites from this brand that I definitely want to investigate even further. This is a really interesting fragrance.
I like that brand. I like the bottle. I think it's really nice. But also, I do think the coconut makes it interesting in comparison to other tobacco fragrances. And the fact that you like it says a lot about how good that fragrance is, because Teddy does not like coconut.
No.
Anytime I spray anything with coconut, he's like, not my fave. So the fact that this pulls together nicely and Teddy likes it is a good sign.
It typically smells cheap when I smell coconut. This instance, don't get it. Don't get it. So, Fan Your Flames, Nishane.
Great choice. Okay, the next one we've picked here is Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. Now, this fragrance is potent. It is luxurious, it is rich, it is a love it or hate it type of fragrance. A lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it.
What I say sometimes to describe this fragrance is it's kind of borderline flamboyant.
Yes, it's like a guy who wears printed dress shirts.
Sure,
And
yes.
probably flaunts his money around.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Like, I think this is a really nice nighttime fragrance. I think you could definitely get away with it in a black tie, which I've done before, like kind of a night out. Like, this certainly works, but it does have an ability to have the wearer be worn by this because it is overpowering, it's very strong. But if you like just traditional tobacco vanilla, and that's one thing that Tom Ford does well. I think many people get caught up, and of course he's so popular in terms of the fragrances he's making, but he is very good at pinpointing and getting things down to a rudimentary form and still being crafted in a nice way. Not very complex in terms of like the amount of ingredients in here. They do have a long list of notes, but really what you're getting tobacco, vanilla, some dried fruits, things of that sort. But that's really those 2 notes that you're getting. If you want that, this is exactly what it sounds like in terms of the name.
Yep, tobacco, vanilla is basically what it is. But like he said about the fragrance wearing you, Teddy and I were in the elevator in our apartment and someone walked in. As soon as that elevator door opened, Teddy knew he was wearing Tobacco Vanille. I mean, it is one of those it's just potent, which can be a good thing. I would not overspray this one. This is one you want to be a little bit more conservative with, but I think all in all, it's a great fragrance and it's exactly what it sounds like. Next up.
So this is from Xerjoff. This is Naxos. Now, this is a fragrance, again, that I typically would not like. It's very sweet, and that's, as soon as you spray it, you get that blast of honey. There is tobacco in here that only really kind of opens itself up as the fragrance dries down. Tonka, vanilla, cinnamon, bergamot, which I don't really get as much of that. To me, I just really get a lot of honey. I get some lavender at the beginning, and then also the vanilla will appear with that tobacco that's starting to dry down. This is a sweet fragrance, no doubt about it. The tobacco only starts to show itself later on. Well crafted. Xerjoff is just known for this, and I just think this is a very, very well crafted fragrance. No question about it.
Yep, very cool brand also. Again, the bottle is super cool. Everything I've smelled from them I've really liked, but this one in particular, what I like about the sweetness is that when honey is like the root of the sweetness, I feel that it doesn't come across as like sickening. You know what I mean? Versus like a synthetic would. But the honey is really beautiful. And again, the fact that you like this one says a lot. I love this one also. I think it would be a great choice for someone looking to spend a little bit more. Really solid choice.
Another thing I'd say, totally unisex, no question about it. And same could be said for Tobacco Vanille, but excellent performance. Really can't say much more about this one. Interesting, well crafted. It's more expensive, but if you're trying to get an experience of that mix of honey, tobacco, it's a great one to check out.
Next pick here is Viktor and Rolf Spicebomb Extreme. This one, again, one that I adore, would be perfect for a date night. We included it in our date night video for that very reason. Has this creamy tobacco with kind of a mild spiciness, mass appealing, great performance. Can't go wrong with this one. You get a little bit of vanilla, tobacco, pepper, lavender, and caraway, and it's a beautiful combination of all of those.
Yeah, this is, I would say in a lot of ways, like a very, like we said, no-brainer type of date night fragrance. Great for the cold weather. For a designer, excellent performance as well. The whole, I would say, Spicebomb family typically has a good reputation in that regard, but this is probably one of the better performing just lines from, I would say, them.
The extreme really gets you there.
Yes.
It definitely lives up to that. And that vanilla in there really offers a creaminess to the fragrance that makes this one not come across as stark as some of those other tobacco fragrances might. Again, really easy, no-brainer date night fragrance. If you're looking for something for that, this would be a really awesome choice for that cold weather kind of date night kind of thing.
All right, so next up we have Mancera Red Tobacco. Now, many people, including you, are not high on this one. I am not crazy about it, but this is a unique fragrance, no question about it. If you're trying to experience tobacco, this has got to be one that you have to, I would say, think about. Some people don't like the opening, which I totally understand. It is dense, it is intense, it's coming at you hard, and it does have a nature to feel almost kind of like medicinal in how it's projecting out. You get this more kind of spicy off the top. You like a lot of spices like cinnamon, nutmeg. That's really what I feel with some saffron right at the opening. And then you start getting into the dry down where the tobacco, incense, it turns into this different type of experience, which I still like, but I could see why some people are not gonna like it. In terms of performance, this thing is excellent. It is absolutely excellent. Will pierce through pretty much any cold winter day. And I think this is also a demonstration. Now, Mancera as a house is multifaceted, but this is one element that they do really well, which is kind of this hard-hitting winter-style fragrance. They are a master of oud and what they kind of utilize in that department. So this is kind of almost an extension and offshoot of that with adding a tobacco kind of framework.
That's a unique one. I'm not gonna be a hater, but it's not my favorite, to be totally honest. Again, it has that incense in it. Incense is not my favorite typically. And this is just, it's very potent, very powerful, and it's not for everyone. Okay, our next pick is Dolce & Gabbana, the one, but we chose the EDT for this video. So the EDP does not have tobacco, so that is why we chose the EDT version. It has that tobacco, grapefruit, cardamom, ginger, amber. It's warm and cozy. I wouldn't say it's as cozy and kind of dense as the EDP version, and this version definitely doesn't have that great of performance, but when it comes out fresh from the beginning, it smells incredible. I'm pretty sure Teddy wore this on our first date.
Yes, I believe I did. I've had this bottle for like 6 years, honestly.
Yes.
I've had it for a very long time. One other thing I will add is this is where, again, tobacco not taking a front seat. This is more of an amber fragrance, but it has those elements in there, and you can kind of see some, as you get into like those entry-level offerings, you kind of see how amber and like this kind of like rich type of execution is utilized more and more.
Yes.
So
again, a really nice date night option, mass appealing, just a great choice.
all right, so our next choice here, Zegna's Forte. Now this is a house that, from a designer perspective, I think is very underrated. They make some really nice fragrances. Everything I've tried from them is solid. It just smells more expensive than it is. This one maybe not as much as some others, but still a nice fragrance from the designer perspective, and typically you can find it for reasonable prices. Now, again, tobacco, maybe not front and center here as much. You get a faint hint of it in the dry down. It is a note in the fragrance, but here you get that honey kind of powdery top with tonka, and then also some amber going along with some ginger pink pepper. That's kind of all bring it together. So it has a spicy kind of opening, and then we'll come into this tobacco with that honey kind of fusing in at the beginning, kind of fuses in with some spiciness, with some sweetness, then goes into that tobacco. Not the greatest performance, but again, I think it just smells a little bit more expensive than, so for example, CK1 Shock versus this, similar pricing that you can usually get these at, depending on where you go and shop for it. I think that night and day, this smells a little bit more sophisticated than CK1 Shock, and also a little bit older in terms of the maturity level.
Yes.
So that's where I would just kind of provide context around this one. Tobacco, maybe not just going to hit you right away. If you're trying to really develop your nose for what tobacco is going to kind of wear like on your skin, maybe not the best option. But if you're just trying to navigate and also get kind of a different note breakdown with the honey, which some people might not like, some people might like, I think it's worth giving it a shot.
Next, we've got Maison Margiela Jazz Club. If you know me, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I absolutely adore this fragrance. Again, probably one of my top 5 fragrances of all time. Definitely makes the top 5, maybe top 3 in the wintertime for a winter fragrance.
It's very good. Just my own experience with this also, on top of just saying what's in it, it's kind of this tobacco booziness on the top, but also has that vanilla. It's sweet. It has so many things that I like from a fragrance. I like kind of that spicy pepper note, the rum and just tobacco, which when you hear that on the surface, you're like, oh boy, this sounds like a bad night out, but it's not. It's actually a lot of fun. And then you also get that vanilla, which kind of rounds it out. It's not overly sweet, but it does the job. The bottle that I purchased had like an issue with it. It wasn't anybody's fault. It was just I bought it, and then there was like a leak, and it was just a minor leak. So I went back, returned it, and I'm like, oh, I'm really bummed out. Should I get it again? Maybe it's just not meant to be. But then I remember time was going on, and I was like, all right, I think I need to get this again.
Couldn't stop thinking about that
Stop
fragrance.
thinking about it. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna buy a full bottle.
Yep.
So, and the rest is history. I really do enjoy this fragrance. It's so solid. It's elevated designer, no question about it.
So again, a really safe option, but I do think it is a little bit more elevated than some of the other designer options out there. So 10 out of 10, great choice.
All right, so for the next pick here, Parfums Herrod. This, along with Leighton, actually all of their cold weather oriented fragrances are the ones that I like the most. I think this is really what the brand does best. This one here is going to have cinnamon, pepper, tobacco, incense, vanilla. It's, to my opinion, I actually think I like it more than Leighton.
I don't.
Yeah, I know you probably don't, but it's a really strong fragrance. It has to be in the running for me. Smoky with the incense, so it does kind of have that effect. Like a lot of tobacco fragrances kind of has more of this dried type of tobacco. This one, it's more as like kind of extending it into the air more with the smoky note of the incense. It kind of has that, with the combination of tobacco, works together for that type of effect. Above average performer for me. I think it's a great winter fragrance to look at. One of the better offerings from Parfums one of the better ones I've tried, and I think I would definitely recommend it. If you want something that's kind of the winter counterpart to Leighton, has some of the same elements in terms of the spiciness, which this certainly does have, has that vanilla note, but also really leans on that tobacco backbone, this would be one to check out.
All right, the last one I'm going to talk about here today is Burberry London for men. So I think we've had this in a couple videos because it's just a really great option. Super cheap, affordable, but again, Christmas in a bottle. It's that amber spicy, great value for the price. You get tobacco, cinnamon, leather, lavender. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, we did a blind reaction, and pretty much everybody had the same.
Blind reaction, everyone said it smelled like Christmas.
Yes, which some people might not like that actually being on a person.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind, but it's nice if you're trying to emulate that type of environment. It kind of reminds me of just, I don't know, like a bowl of dried fruit like that you have out as a decoration. It kind of has that, yeah, kind of a little bit of that, but
it has a sweetness to it too that ties it all together though with that cinnamon. And I personally really like when men smell a little bit sweeter. I know that some women don't like that, but I really do. Probably because you're always wearing fragrances like that, but I really like this one. And again, it's super cheap, affordable, great blind buy. Okay, last one, Teddy, take it away.
So, in a recent video looking at affordable fragrances, did not actually spend that much time wearing this, but this ended up being my favorite. I thought it was most sophisticated. Probably not fair to put it with some of the other ones on the list because it was a little bit closer to kind of a higher price range, but still, I think this is a well-crafted fragrance. It's interesting how the note breakdown kind of just comes all to a final conclusion when you actually spray it to your skin. So you have cinnamon, you have a lot of fruity notes, tobacco, and orange. The orange is really prominent off the top, which you don't really get with many tobacco fragrances as you kind of start to get into the drive down. Leather, tobacco really is kind of and the cedar kind of is that kind of back for what this thing is going for with that strong orange note, which some people might not like. I actually like the dry down of this more compared to the opening. The opening might put some people off, but warm, spicy cinnamon with kind of some fruity infusion on top, and then kind of gets into that tobacco close, which I think for where it represents in the price range, it's unique. You don't usually get fragrances that kind of have this type of breakdown with the notes. So I think that allows it to separate from the crowd. Certainly one to consider.
All right, guys, that is all we have for some great tobacco scents that we think all of you should check out. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel because we're new, we're just starting out. Share with some of your fragrance friends and get some people over on the channel.
That'd be a great help. And it's kind of interesting talking about tobacco fragrances. I like them. I don't smoke or anything. I don't have any affinity to tobacco at all. But in general, I think this kind of goes to show the breadth that you have here and just the great fragrances and why I think a lot of like houses really specialize in trying to do this.
Yeah, there's a lot of great options. Regardless of what your budget is, I think there's something on this list for everyone that someone out there should be able to enjoy.
And if you guys do have another fragrance that has a prominent tobacco note, please leave a comment down below of other things that maybe people are checking out that are watching this video that might be interested in. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well. We'll see you all very soon.